Hello, my Mercurial mercenaries. I just want to have a chat with you. This is a follow-up to the video where I asked you guys to come up with the 5 albums that got you through rough / tough times. They might have involved Slash from Guns N' Roses, they might not have. On the whole, I think most of us probably had hard times that didn't involve Slash, but you just never know, do you? It's Glastonbury tonight, and Tame Impala are playing. Now, Stormzy is headlining on the main stage, which I think is a little bit odd. I understand that it's about, you've got a rock festival, and there's been calls over the years to have different types of bands involved. So Glastonbury, not rock. Glastonbury has historically been a festival where bands play, where people play instruments. And there was uproar over the years. For instance, when Kanye West headlined a few years ago. And then, to be fair, it's also a festival that kind of ignored heavier music. So it was a big deal when Metallica headlined Glastonbury. So Glastonbury is a bit of an oddball. I think it probably is the biggest music festival in the world, and probably the most prestigious, but it's like a parabola, like a bell curve. It's kind of, perhaps it's a little bit middle of the road. Although, having said that, because there are 20,000 different stages spread over about 100 square kilometres, there is something for everybody. But tonight, the Friday night, Stormzy is headlining. And I think that's a little bit weird because the guys who watch this channel religiously, routinely, you'll know that I reviewed Stormzy's Gang, Signs and Prayers. I liked that album. But as far as I'm aware, Stormzy basically has one album and he's headlining the Friday night. So tonight it's Stormzy, tomorrow night it's The Killers, and Sunday night it's The Cure. But tonight, on the other stage, bear in mind that the other stage is still huge. Listen to this. Right, listen to this. Friday. This is what I'm going to be. I'm not at Glastonbury. I'm here, in here with you. All right? But tonight, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to sit in the garden and I'm going to stream it to my phone. 10 o'clock, BBC 4. Lauren Laverne introduces a set from psychedelic slow pop, in quotation marks. Slow pop band Tame Impala, who are headlining the other stage. Slow pop. Is that the definition for the genre for Tame Impala? I didn't realise. It was a genre, slow pop. What was that in my day? Shoegazing. Playing their biggest show at the festival to date, the Australian outfit will be performing a collection of songs from their acclaimed albums Inner Speaker, Lonerism and Currents, alongside new tracks including recent release Patience. And there, a night of psychedelic slow pop with Tame Impala and Kevin Parker. Can you see that? See that? A night of psychedelic slow pop with Tame Impala and Kevin Parker. That's what I'll be doing at 10 o'clock. So it's Friday. It's a heat wave. It's so hot in here that even the puppets are sweating. All right? Let's just have a relatively quick look, by my standards, at some of the albums that got you guys through hard times, rough times, / Axel. What I picked up on here is there's obviously a lot of youngsters watching this channel because I think they've been through hard times, but they've been through hard times where albums that I would consider practically brand new have got them through those hard times. And that's fine. We all go through hard times through various stages of our lives. And I like the fact that it's not just a big list of Revolver and Pet Sounds. We have got Tame Impala. We've got Radiohead. And I think you guys have basically agreed with me that when you're feeling down, depressed and lonely, there's a place where we all go, and it's albums that are miserable. It looks like you guys agree with me. You don't want happy albums. You want Kid A. You want OK Computer. I mean, for me, an album like Pet Sounds, I just wasn't made for these times. And Lonerism, Grace, Coldplay, The Beatles, New Order, Queen. Already, you can see here, we've got Lonerism, we've got Currents by Tame Impala. Kevin Parker has certainly made an impact on the world. I was having a conversation with Explosive Notes about the video, the latest King Giz video I put out, where I was trying to explain how I think King Giz have cottoned onto something new here, in that they are a relatively speaking now mainstream band, and I lumped them in with Tame Impala and MGMT, King Gizzard, Mac DeMarco, and I think Explosive Notes kind of queried how mainstream these bands are. He was kind of saying, well, I haven't really heard of them, but I was trying to say back, Tame Impala are headlining Glastonbury tonight, so it's relatively mainstream. And I was saying that it's been the trend for a long time now for bands to take influences from the 80s. MGMT did it with Little Dark Age. Kevin Parker's been doing it. Mac DeMarco's been doing it. That kind of 80s sound, big keyboards, electro pop. And I was saying what King Giz have done is take another aspect of the 80s, the thrash metal scene, and brought that into the mainstream. And I was saying that's a new thing. And Explosive Notes was kind of saying back, no, hang on a minute. There's loads of bands out there doing thrash from the 80s. Now, I might not be particularly aware of that, so he's got a point there. But I just wanted to say that I thought that King Giz were being quite clever. And we'll see whether any other bands follow suit, follow the trend. See if any other, relatively speaking, big bands start producing thrash metal albums. I doubt it. I doubt it's going to happen, but you never know. Vote for Quadrophenia there. Physical Graffiti, Dark Side of the Moon. I think it's nice when an album that's considered a classic the world round. Still, I mean, albums are classics for a reason. It's usually because they're good. But I like the fact that when you're down, you can put on an album that is probably on many people's coffee tables. There's plenty of people out there who don't really like music, who own a copy of Dark Side of the Moon. So it's easy to be dismissive of an album like Dark Side of the Moon, but it's nice that you can put Dark Side of the Moon on, and it can still comfort your soul. And that's probably a reason why it is a classic. And some albums transcend being coffee table music. Everyone might own Adele's album. The general public might own an Adele album. Yeah, I can still hear that Adele sings with soul. Do you know what I mean? There's a few bands and albums that I don't really know here. So The Puppy Chicken has got through hard times with Oh My Heart by Mother Mother, Teen Dream by Beach House, Blue Suicide by Coma Cinema, Girl with a Basket of Fruit, Zhu Zhu, To Be Kind, Swans. I'd be interested in listening to that album. I must tag that one for myself. Girl with a Basket of Fruit. Another mention for In Rainbows. Now, I did once own a Surf Jan Stevens album. You need to tell me how you pronounce Surf Jan Stevens. I don't know. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Again, lonerism. I think because I did a fair few Tame Impala videos, and we've got a fair few Tame Impala fans subscribed to this channel, I think it's fair to say that a lot of you hold Tame Impala close to your hearts, and especially the album Lonerism. Now, if I'd been a teenager when an album like Lonerism came out, or an album that sort of feasted on, celebrated, or wallowed in the despair of being lonely was around, I may do with other albums. I may do with the Holy Bible or Grace by Jeff Buckley, but I can imagine that I would have been someone who would have appreciated Lonerism in my darker times. Someone asked me recently, which album do I prefer? Currents or Lonerism? I'm going to be the odd one out. I'm going to say Currents. Yeah, bite me. Yes, cool. I still need to listen to Elliott Smith. Interestingly, this goes with what we've been saying. When you're feeling down, depressed and lonely, you can listen to Joy Division. Another vote for Kid A. I mean, Verti Mum's first vote for Mac DeMarco. Bit of Led Zeppelin. I am noticing a lot of car seat headrest. Now, Peter Moss. When I saw this one, Declan McKenna, what do you think about the car? I thought, right, okay, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to listen to that. So I looked up the album, and it was just like a picture of a kid's face. I just thought, I'm not sure. Tell me more about it. See, Nick, you're going for songs of Leonard Cohen. The Voids, Ariel Pink, Lonerism again. Foggy, I think Unplugged by Nirvana probably got a lot of people through hard times. Along with In Utero, classic albums. The Doors, another vote for Joy Division, another vote for Radiohead. There's a theme here. There is a theme here. Down bands for down times. Resrax. Albums that bring back memories that mean something to me tend to lift my spirits in hard times. That's true. So it's not just an album that's down and lets you wallow in someone feeling similar feelings. Like I told you in the previous video. So I get beaten up and my mate lends me a Madness album. So I now associate Madness with getting me through hard times. But Madness, stuff fun, now we come of age. I mean, it's not really down, is it? You know what I mean? Resrack says, status quo. Hello, my granddad was a big fan of Quo. He died when I was young, and listening to them reminds me of the times I spent with him. Muse, Black Holes and Revelations. Muse was a band I listened to a lot when I was starting secondary school and brings back memories of friends that I had and people I may never see again. Queen, Greatest Hits. I listened to the same Queen album over and over during this time also. Radiohead, OK Computer. My dad introduced me to Radiohead with OK Computer and we kind of bonded over the band and the album. Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? When I listened to Are You Experienced, for the first time I was blown away by Hendrix's guitar playing and he inspired me to learn the guitar. I wouldn't be the person I am today if I hadn't discovered his albums. I know what you mean. So there's two parts to this, isn't there? There's when you feel low and you put Pink Moon by Nick Drake on, it makes you feel better. I'm sure someone will be able to go to Cambridge and get a doctorate in telling me why listening to down music when you're down, like two wrongs make a right. I'm sure that if we were thinking about this without the actual experience, we'd think that putting something happy on would help out. So there's that, wallowing in a like-minded album. But there is, like I just said, and like Resrax is saying, there's also just albums that happen to be around when you are having a hard time. And for me, probably the Soft Bulletin by the Flaming Lips kind of just happened to be going around in the car during rough times. Maybe The Streets as well. But I like that. That's what this question was about. It's opening our eyes to more music at a slight deviation from the straight question, what's your favourite album? Jim Morrison, An American Prayer. There's an album I haven't really listened to. Lou Reed, another vote for OK Computer. I would have expected probably a fair few votes for OK Computer over the years. Not an album I'm particularly fond of, funny enough, even though it keeps winning Greatest Album of All Time awards. Hail to the Thief, another album I didn't particularly get on with. Oscar Cloud. I could easily have had Nick Drake's Pink Moon on my list. Dino Gagnon says you should react to Pom Pom by Ariel Pink. A lot of you have wanted that over the years. I'll see what I can do. Vote for Mac DeMarco. Explosive Notes. I don't like listening to happy music no matter the time. No, I can... Anyone who goes onto the Discord server and gets to know Explosive Notes will know that he doesn't particularly like listening to happy music. I probably should specify what I mean by happy music, but I'm not feeling like writing long things at the moment. Okay, 5 first remembered albums that got me through tough times. Slayer, Divine Intervention, loved that album. Loved that album. That was a mid-90s Slayer album as far as I remember. That was a Slayer album that came out when that kind of music was completely out of fashion. Grunge had wiped it off the face of the earth. There was Britpop or whatever. And then Slayer released Divine Intervention. I still bought it and I still enjoyed it. Napalm Death, Utopia, Banished. Visaki, Zamek, Jacko, Propane, The Truth Hurts, Sepultura, Arise. You can see that Explosive Notes likes listening to heavy music to get him through rough times. I've done that. There was a period of time not so long ago where I used Rain in Blood, which isn't a particularly heavy album thinking about it, but I used Rain in Blood to get through times. I don't know, I can put on really bleak folk music like Nick Drake, and I can also listen to something just horrible and heavy. Someone should do a doctorate on it. Some Brian Eno, Stone Roses, Tranquility Base, Hotel and Casino, OK Computer again. I suppose I could have guessed that one would come up. Lonerism, again. A Little Dark Age, MGMT, still has one of the greatest songs of all time on it, She Works Out Too Much. What a great song. I'll be listening to that tomorrow morning, like I do every Saturday morning. What do you think about The Car, Declan McKenna? I need to listen to that. I need to get past the cover and listen to it. Wilco, Arcade Fire. Daniel Norgren, never heard of him. Aphex Twin. I've never used Aphex Twin to get through rough times particularly, but I did love some of the 90s work. All the weird twisted faces. Daddy, or what was it called? Window Liquor, or Daddies, or whatever it's called. He was an interesting guy. What was that? Richard James. King Cruel. Using King Cruel to get you through rough times. I suppose I used Portishead. And King Cruel is the Portishead and Tricky for your generation. Yeah, that album there, that live album by Jeff Buckley is just beautiful. Beautiful. What a talent. I've also, when I've been talking about sort of greatest albums and things, I think I should have had Blood on the Tracks there. I love that album. I love that album. What have we got? Another vote for Pet Sounds. Smiths. The Smiths, Joy Division. A vote for John Lennon there. Another vote for Car Seat Headrest. Alpha Axel says, I could list 4 more, but honestly, this album just speaks to me more than anything else. I think I need to give Car Seat Headrest a go. I don't know anything by them. Them. I know nothing. And then quite often you people think, how does the Mercurial number 6 not know of these bands? I've probably been listening to other music that you don't know. That's what this channel's all about. It's about like that. You know what I mean? I think Jan Walrab is a fan of Swans. Another band I haven't invested in yet. Gray Larson. The Voids. My Chemical Romance. Jaws. Don't know Jaws. Who are Jaws? Seth with Donuts. Pom Pom by Ariel Pink. So not only do you guys want me to listen to Pom Pom by Ariel Pink, but Seth used that album to get him through hard times. I think any album on this list, from all of you, is worthy of us collectively having a listen to it. Because an album that's powerful enough and strong enough and meaningful enough to really help you when you're feeling low is important. Music can be treated trivially. People say, oh, it's just, what are you doing? Music, you're just doing a hobby. People buy music, people throw away music, but the general public will take a pop song and shit it out. But there's also music out there that really does move the soul. And I think that's what we're here for on this channel. That's why this channel will never get big. Because we're not just here rubbing our faces in detritus. We're trying to have a meaningful bloody conversation, yeah? Currents, Tame Impala. Earl's Sweatshirt. Another vote for King Cruel. Miles Davis, A Kind of Blue. That has got me through some times. If you're ever feeling rough, put A Kind of Blue on. It takes you to another place. I don't quite know where that place is, but it's a place that's dark and blue. And yeah, there's cigarette smoke, and you keep having to do that, but it's just, yeah, it's just. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. I can imagine that Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds is a band that I would like. I've just never basked in them. Just makes me think of Kylie Minogue. I told you this before, didn't I? It just makes me think of Kylie Minogue, which is a good thing. Ozman. Sorry for the mini rants, but I deeply love these albums. Gang of Youths go farther in lightness. A few years ago in Australia, I was watching the Arius. I only said Anus then. I was watching the Anus, a music award show, and a band called Gang of Youths played a song of theirs live. I fell in love instantly. I bought the album shortly after the show. Go Farther reinvigorated my will to live, to be someone. Around that time I had an existential crisis and didn't see a reason to get up in the morning. This album is like the warm embrace of a friend that picks you up when you've fallen down. I think it saved my life. That's high, you know, indeed for that album. Nirvana in Utero. This was pretty much the album that helped me through the later years of high school. All elements of self-loathing and hatred that I felt were met on this absolute masterpiece. It made me feel less alone, and how I felt towards life was valid. That is how Kurt Cobain made a lot of us feel. When you're going through your teenage years, there's angst. All your emotions are heightened and you think the world's against you. And you feel alienated, like you're the odd one out. No! My recording software just crashed. So I thought I'd lost everything, and I check, and no, it's all still there. How weird. Anyway, we're back. We're back in the room. I was just saying how important Nirvana's In Utero was to a lot of people. Obviously, Kurt Cobain was feeling down. But if he gave anything to the world, he gave other people a sense of being alive. Twin Peaks, Down in Heaven, probably the happiest album on this list. I throw this on whenever I feel down on my luck or stuck in the same old ditch. The boys created a wonderful happy-go-lucky album that you can't help but smile when you listen to it. Arcade Fire, Funeral. Arcade Fire is another band that unbelievably I've never listened to, and you guys have quite often said, don't suggest Arcade Fire to Mercurial number 6. He must have listened to it before. I haven't. Funeral was very special. I listened to this years ago, but I never fully appreciated it until recent years. There had been terrible loss and sorrow in my life last year. And Arcade Fire made an album that made me relate to my emotions just through the instrumentals alone. It's depressing, frantic, calming, beautiful, and hopeful all at the same time. That sounds amazing. That reminds me of how I always felt about Grace by Jeff Buckley. Depressing, frantic, calming, beautiful, hopeful. Tame Impala, Lonerism. I feel like I've always been a lonely person. My parents divorced when I was very young, and I was that weird kid with social problems that everyone picked on. For most of my life, I sought and found solitude in myself, being self-reliant when no one else could be there for me. Solitude is indeed bliss. I've always felt that myself. Solitude. There are some people who just can't be alone. I know lots of people like that. They can't be alone. They have to be with friends at all times. Every evening they've got something planned. They're out and about. They're doing this. They're doing that. There are people who can't be alone in relationships. When they split up, they're with someone else straight away. All the relationship overlap. They've never been single. I'm not one of those people. So Tame Impala's Lonerism kind of hits the places where other beers don't reach for me as well. Solitude is indeed bliss, but too much of it can be dangerous. Right, it's kind of gone against what I just said, but That's probably right. Solitude can be bliss, but at some point, I don't know. I often think I could just be a hermit living in a wooden shack on the top of a mountain. But in actual fact, I'm also the guy who wants to be around shops and wants to have the TV and wants to have constantly looking at it like that, my thumb, like that. Oh, look. Picture of my food, send. More pictures of my food, send. Selfie of me drinking coffee, cheers. Yeah, sign up for my Facebook page. I lost access to my Mercurial number 6 Facebook page for a few days. So you might have noticed less cheers pictures, but I've got it back today. Lonerism is one of the handful of albums I can think of that perfectly illustrates the feeling of loneliness, the pleasure but also the pain that comes with it. Every man is happy until happiness is suddenly a goal. Kevin Parker. Every man is happy until happiness is suddenly a goal. I know what he means there. It's that moment where you stop and you wonder what it is that makes you happy. I'm down a lot of the time, and I made an admission not too long ago where I said to someone who was asking why I'm down, and I just said, nothing makes me happy. Nothing. Alan McBean, Aphex Twin. Car seat headrest again. Bloody car seat headrest. Grace, Jeff Buckley. That's the greatest album of all time. I'm all right with that. I'm all right with that. When someone says to me, what's the greatest album of all time? It's just simple. It's Grace by Jeff Buckley. I don't have to think about it. It's a fact. It's Grace by Jeff. Other people, well, it depends what day it is and what mood I'm in. No. The greatest album of all time is Grace by Jeff Buckley. It's listen to it and tell me I'm wrong. I dare you. The Smiths. Morrissey's You Are the Quarry has got me through a fair number of down days. Another vote for Coldplay's Parachutes. Yellow is just shiver, but Yellow is just a fantastic song. There was a moment back in the early noughties when Coldplay weren't like a world-destroying pop band with Chris Martin shagging all the best-looking women in the world. There was a moment where they were just a little indie band breaking through. And that video for Yellow, where he's just walking along the beach as the sun rises. Mwah. Dan Mar 007, The Cars. Emily Edson, another vote for Tame Impala. A vote for Depeche Mode. Beat the Devil's Tattoo. Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. My sister and I used to have a rocky relationship. We bonded over our love of Black Rebel Motorcycle Club and it became part of our healing. Oh, that's nice. Mac DeMarco, Alice in Chains. Lana Del Rey. I like the look of Lana Del Rey. I do like the look of Lana Del Rey. She, I can have a poster of her on the wall. I like her voice. I like her spirit. I think she is a product. She's a product. She's manufactured to a certain extent, but I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I'm the guy who owns Britney Spears albums and Christina Aguilera, and if music's good, it's good. If music can move you, then it can move you. Why put a caveat on it? Why say, oh, actually, that song really moved me. Ah, shit, it was by Britney Spears, though. Damn, I can't admit to liking that. What will people say? What will people say if I admit I liked Britney Spears? A vote for Blur, Think Tank, Smashing Pumpkins, Siamese Dream. That was a class album. Another vote for Lonerism. I must listen to some Father John Misty. In Utero. Mike gets involved here. He likes this question. He can see the point of this question. The Holy Bible by the Manics. When you're feeling down, I do suggest you try listening to the Holy Bible by the Manic Street Preachers. It will make you feel better through its sheer, unbridled bleakness. The bleakest album that was ever created. And I think I can happily say that Grace by Jeff Buckley is the best album of all time. I can say the Holy Bible by Nick Drake then. The Holy Bible by the Manic Street Preachers is the most bleak album of all time. Appetite for Destruction. Yeah. Fly in the Wall, AC/DC, Beck, Mellow Gold. Here we go. Cultosaurus erectus. Cultosaurus erectus. Blue Oyster Cult. Check it out. I think I do need to, Mike, because I've never heard of it. Misbehaving Child goes for Amnesiac, not Kid A. Another vote for the Smiths. Bit of Fleet Foxes there. Another band I don't really know. I think Pet Sounds is a given. Anyone, and I've seen this as well when I've been looking through mainly like comments on Facebook pages. You know, with people, there'll be like a post, some sort of question on Facebook, and then there'll be comments underneath. And I saw one talking about the Beatles being the most influential and best band of all time, and you have like 1,000 comments underneath by people going, "Oh, what's so big? I've always hated the Beatles. I don't understand where all the love for them comes from." And I just think, do you know what? I can't read this sort of shit. If you've got no respect for the Beatles, then I can't respect your opinion, because you're obviously a fucking idiot. And likewise, you'll get people in the comment sections going, "Oh, Pet Sounds. I've never got the love for Pet Sounds. It's rubbish." If you think Pet Sounds is rubbish, I mean, just use your ears. Use your ears. Unsubscribe from me. Tame Impala in a Speaker. Radiohead in Rainbows. Tame Impala, Lonerism, George Harrison, All Things Must Pass. When I was listening to Tame Impala the first time, I do remember thinking Kevin Parker had a very John Lennon thing going on. And I'll get to listen to him again tonight. As the sun sets over thousands of people, I'll get to listen to what he's got to say and what he's got to do. And we'll see how much of his music's actually live. Not necessarily a criticism. I have come from a world myself of playing live with sequenced instruments. But we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. Claw Carver goes for Kate Bush. Pygmalion goes for The Machine by Solar Corona. Don't know it. Maybe I didn't feel happy after listening to this for the first time recently, but I felt something. A sense of belonging to the world. This album has the ability to take you away from whatever you're doing and transport you to a greater state of being. Something to listen and reflect on yourself with. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but it's definitely what music should be all about. Be more than just the notes. You are speaking like a guru. Like a guru. Led Zeppelin 4. Not just because it has Stairway on it. Really, it comes down to being for any kind of mood. Another one of those albums you can sit back and listen to. As much as there are obviously some fast-paced songs, but a lot of people forget that Zepp are just as good, if not better, at the slow stuff. That's true. That's true. I enjoy the slow Zeppelin songs, but then the Immigrant song starts and so do that. Yes, going for the one. Not one that comes to mind when most people think of. Yes, you're absolutely right. It isn't. But this is my personal favourite, and this again has the ability to take you outside of the music to something far deeper, especially Awaken. That track is orgasmic. Orgasmic. It just reminds you of what it's like to feel emotion. Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. Don't think you can make a list like this without omitting Pink Floyd. Well, you can. You can. In my opinion, Dark Side is the better album. But it's not as good for me for reaching that state of tranquility. As a concept, Wish You Were Here is just better. I think it's hard. If you be objective, I think, yes, most people would say as a package, Dark Side of the Moon. The album cover, the title, the meaning behind it, the songs themselves, the way it changed the world, the way it stayed on the UK charts for, I think, 200 years. Very important album. But I agree with you. I think Wish You Were Here is better. Yeah. And then you go for Rush, Farewell to Kings. Okay, this one's a bit of a stretch, but you can't help be washed away by it. I like that. Paul's Country. I got pulled over by a cop for speeding. I told him I was a Mercurial mercenary and was exempt from such charges under diplomatic immunity. He pepper sprayed me and cracked me on the noggin with his buddy club. G-Funk, Massive Attack, Blue Lines. That was an album that changed everything over here in the early 90s. I love the fact you've gone for Portishead's Dummy. That album, I keep telling you, I've said this on so many videos now. I went into town in 95, I think it was, and I bought 2 CDs at the same time. I bought Grace by Jeff Buckley and Dummy by Portishead. And I took them home. And I got home, I think it was late morning, and I closed the curtains in the room. I lay on the bed, I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't heard of either of them. And I put them on one after the other. And can you imagine hearing Grace by Jeff Buckley and Dummy by Portishead one after the other for the first time ever? As a teenager or whatever. In a band. I lay there and I just thought, I need to give up. Which is sad in a way, isn't it? Yoshimi battles the Pink Robots. Another vote for Wish You Were Here. Another vote for OK Computer. Another vote for Wish You Were Here. I don't think I'm not noticing. There's a lot of votes for this Beach House band. I am noticing that, right? Rudy Sanchez says, Radiohead, OK Computer. Not my favourite album, but I would argue it's the best ever made. Did it get you through hard times? That was the question. I'll assume that it did, which is why you're answering. Hulin Zero. He did tell me how to pronounce his name. He told me, and I'm still saying Hulin Zero. Says, there is certainly music that means a great deal to me and has provided temporary respite or distraction during difficult situations. But as you highlighted at one point, I tend to listen to music that amplifies whatever emotional state I may be experiencing at the time. So I have to conclude that what I am doing is feeding my own sentimental bias rather than dealing with it. Yeah. That's true. There comes a point where you wonder, do you need to deal with it? If you're feeling down? I don't know what I mean by that. Another vote for Coldplay. Another vote for Tame Impala. Another vote for what I would probably say is one of the worst Radiohead albums. Although I haven't listened to it for a long time. Perhaps I should listen to the album again before I make a comment like, oh, I think it's one of the worst albums. And anyway, how bad can a worst Radiohead album be? Having said that, I have no interest in ever listening to Pablo Honey again. I vote for American Idiot with Eric Clapton from Elias Gemtron. Oh, I love The Doors. I love Ellie Woman. I've been down so goddamn long that it feels like up to me. When it comes to these people who died young, your Hendrixes and your Joplins and your Kurt Cobains and Amy Whitehouses and Jim Morrisons, when you listen to one of their albums, Jeff Buckley, there's just something there. Death Grips, Year of the Snitch. Did enjoy that album. I'm still sweating now from listening to that album. Smams got through hard times by listening to Flying Microtonal Banana. Weird picks, but they became kind of personal due to they were what I was listening to at the time. Adriel Sanchez. Oh, see, I thought there'd be more votes for Disintegration by The Cure. If ever there's an album to listen to when you're feeling depressed or having a hard time, it's The Cure, Disintegration. And they will be playing at Glastonbury on Sunday night, headlining. It's going to be good. I'm excited. Metro name goes for Neutral Milk Hotel. I must listen to some Neutral Milk Hotel. I don't really like the band name. It's odd. Can someone tell me why they call themselves Neutral Milk Hotel? It seems like they just... Do you remember there was like, in the early days of the internet, there was random band name generators. Sounds like they just used a random band name generator. Number of words, 3. Go. Neutral Milk Hotel. Pet sounds, Callum McLaughlin. Such tough choices. I want to edit. Scurvy and Lemonade. I like that username. Scurvy and Lemonade. Radiohead in Rainbows. Bill Ryan tells me that he thinks In Rainbows is the best Radiohead album. It's the Radiohead album I've had least association with. The Bends the most. Pablo Honey, King of Limbs the least. And In Rainbows down there as well. Ed Dana wants me to listen to the Guess Who. Dheeraj Bhatt says most people who are sub to this channel because they're Tame Impala fans will have lonerism in their charts. I mean, that might be the case. And it might be an amazing album. But the question wasn't what's your favourite album? But I'm sure that as it is people's favourite albums, and because it deals with the subject of being lonely, I can understand why people have picked lonerism. Probably for the same reason that I was listening to sort of albums like Grace in the 90s. People are now listening to lonerism today. Joy Division, The Smiths. Billie Eilish. Marissa Murphy goes for Billie Eilish. Now, I've heard a lot of this Billie Eilish character. When we all fall asleep, where do we go? She's an artist that I can relate to on a somewhat personal level. She kind of reminds me of myself when I was 13 or so. Hearing her music reminds me that I will move on from the feelings I may have had for someone and that things will get better. I suppose those kind of sentiments always revolve around the same thing, which is there's plenty more fish in the sea. And you say that to someone, and I've had it said to me, and you don't want to hear it. You never ever want to hear someone say, there's plenty more fish in the sea. The thing that got me through hard times once, and I've said this before as well, but I'll just say it again, was, you know, you break up with a girl, and you get down about it, and you feel, and you picture her with other people and whatever she's currently doing while you're sitting in your room, just dwelling on it, and you get emotional, and someone just said, a good woman is like a book in a library. You can pick it off the shelf, you can borrow it for a little while, you can read it, but at some point you have to return it, put it back on the shelf for someone else to take it out. Yeah, it's probably bollocks, but it helped me at various times. Pygmalion goes for News of the World. Evil White Clown Punk. You know, I can't think of a time when I've ever thought life sucks. I need to listen to fill the blank. Really, aren't that what drugs and alcohol are for? Anthony Rota, Elliot Smith. Figure 8, A Basement on a Hill, Roman Candle, Either Or, and XO. Basically, Elliot saved my life. So much I made a petition to get him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There's almost 1,000 who have signed it so far. You'll never get Elliot Smith in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There's like rock bands like massive rock bands who can't get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's because the people who choose what bands go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame are fucking idiots. They're fucking idiots. So Elliott Smith hasn't got a chance. Right. Now, by this point, no one's watching now. But anyway, don't put your comment on this video. Don't put your comment on this video. But think about this for the next video, right? The next video, here's a just a little thing for you guys who are now currently watching, or like 20 of you. The next video is going to be the greatest lyrics. Not sure how many, whether we're talking about a whole song or a little section or just a line. But it's going to be, what are your favourite lyrics? Maybe we'll make it a top 5. Let's make it a top 5. But don't put your comment on this video. Just think about it now and put it on the next video. Probably top 5 lyrics. I think my number 1 will probably end up being Meet the New Boss, Same as the Old Boss by The Who. I just love that. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Sums up life, the world. It sums up everything. But I've got quite a special video that I'm going to put out. I've been working on it today, and so it's going to be a special video. So leave your comments for that video, right? But think about it now. What are your top 5 favourite lyrics from songs? Thank you. I'll get this video edited. I'll publish it, hopefully, and I'll go and watch Tame Impala.